in the Western world, we're all super happy that we've become as individualistic as we have. Only now we're sort of, this is kind of overshoot, and individualism has become loneliness. It's so nice to be able to give what you like to give, to be creative, use your talents, and then just trust that the group will take care of you.
The concept of the farm is based on community-supported agriculture. Now I have 240 people who come here to harvest. They pay me for this in the beginning of the season. We share the risk of agriculture. It's all about getting city people back in contact with their food, with nature as well a little bit, and gives me big satisfaction because I see who's eating the food and they're happy and they're telling stories about finally their kids are eating vegetables as well. And still every day I learn things about ecology which I didn't know, and it's hard to say what is most difficult because it's not that difficult. I mean, for me one of the most difficult things is having a car. I had a car and it makes me completely unhappy, so not having a car is more easy.
When we'll walk through the house, is what you'll see is that everything is secondhand or transformed or given a second life. It's not waste. So nothing is negative. Everything has a positive side to it. It was actually all the pieces of a magnificent closet that had awful blue paint on it. And my friend said, take the top of it, which is this mantelpiece here on which the jars are sitting, and turn that into a shelf. It's like it's like doing crosswords. It's really difficult in the beginning, and then at one moment, suddenly it's fun. And it's challenging, and you like it, and you start doing it. And it's a mind game. It's finding solution is a mind game, and it's fun. Because you have to exchange, you have to talk with people, you have to get out of your dark hole and start connecting.
First of all, is an attitude of respect. In a very short period, we are talking about 2 or 3 decades, that reality has been changing in an incredible fast way. Local, traditional, familiar shops are disappearing from the city centers. I still remember, for example, when I was going to the bakery shop, everyone was taking its own bag. Normally like a handmade bag, normally very beautiful, very colorful. And then suddenly these bags, they start disappearing. We have lost a lot of tradition of producing our own things.
I found myself pregnant with my 3rd child, which was a big surprise, a big gift, not at all expected. So I started writing about my inner journey, and I started doing a lot of research on how we live in the real sense, and I started feeling a growing urgency of filling that gap between what we know and how we live. I found that the journey, that lightening up one's environmental footprint is an incredibly exciting process. It feels good. It's not about sacrifice. It's very exciting. It's about discovery.
There's a guy called Ray Anderson that used to run Interface Carpets, which for a long time was a sort of poster child of sustainable company. It was like, they've got it right. And he very famously wrote about the moment when he read this book called The Ecology of Commerce by Paul Hawken, and he went, oh, wait a minute, I'm not a successful business entrepreneur, I'm a terrorist. I've been ruining the planet for all these years and I didn't notice. And I read that same book, but I then saw Paul Hawken speak at a conference. Now, I hadn't started a 6,000 person carpet making company, but what I had done is gone off and started a number of internet businesses, and it just reminded me that actually I could run businesses that were far more compatible with the greater good. We keep acting as if the economy is this great thing that we need to worship and respect. The economy is an intellectual construct that we made up in our little minds, and we're a very, very definite subset of another thing called the environment. Now, you might be able to conceive of a society where we never need to exchange any goods or indeed create any goods. I haven't managed that yet, and I definitely think that some form of business will be the key to any society, and that business today is probably one of the most influential actors in creating change. But it's not business as we know it, that's for sure.
My study is on gorillas, and particularly I'm studying one of the groups that is called the Cross River Gorilla. And there are less than 320 animals left in the whole world, in the wild, and one in captivity. This is a valuable species that is at the brink of extinction if we do not do anything. And most of the time, when we go out to do chimpanzee or gorilla surveys, I would not want to come back home. Because when I'm in the forest, there's no communication of any kind. The internet is off, the telephone is off, the family is off, you and nature. And I kind of enjoyed it. But when I come home, I'm coming home to start worrying where will I get soap, where will I get money to call somebody, where will I put credit on my phone. Because at that time I was so poor, I preferred to stay in the jungle. That was easier. Life was better. And whenever I hear the sound of a chimpanzee or a gorilla, it still happens today. When I'm in the wild and I hear a chest from gorillas, or I hear that's chimpanzee, that day is my best day.
So I decided to take a 6-month sabbatical to have some more time for myself and my children, but also to change my lifestyle and to see if it is really possible to have a good life with a very low ecological footprint. And then I started to see what can I change in my life, talking about food, about energy, about mobility, holidays, everything in fact, and to find always the best solution if you look at it in an ecological way. So it was finding a kind of balance between what's the best for environment and what's okay for me. So and some of the things I started like collecting rainwater to use for the toilet. And of course I have no automatic system here, so I have to get 2 buckets of rainwater once or twice a day. But now we are more than 2 years I'm doing this, and I'm really proud of it because I never had to use 1 drip of drinking water to flush the toilet. And in the beginning it needs attention and you have to be aware of it, but after a while you do it automatically. And one of the things I didn't expect, or it was not an objective, is that, for example, the relation with my children became better.
I prefer the open flower metaphor for my life, to organize my life with, and therefore have a semi-public house, share my house to the degree that it can be shared in a qualitative way. Have joint activities, exchange in a non-monetary way, services and goods, do car sharing and all the other practical stuff that goes with it. So it's not about my needs. Do I need dresses? Of course, I'm a woman. But do I need them in that particular consumerist way? No. Another way to share the place is actually to share the garden. There's a garden with no green fingers in it, and there's green fingers who don't have a garden.
At university I already started to eat some vegetarian, some biological food, but it's more like tasting something different without really thinking too much. But then later when my wife got pregnant, we did start thinking of such basic thing as food. We have this system now with Tom, who has like a field where we pay an annual fee and then we can go and harvest there. And we go like once or twice a week. We take the bicycle and we just go there for like 1 or 2 hours, in which the little one can play a little bit. She can take the carrots, she can take the strawberries. So it's kind of a mix of well, getting your food yourself, but also an educational activity for the kid to learn that the food doesn't come from a plastic box in the supermarket.
Since this new millennium, you have a new color. It's called the bright green movement, and this movement exists out of things like the Hub, for example, social entrepreneurs, people starting businesses because they actually understand that it's much more the offer that's in our little stores or the supermarket that actually steers our demand. Like you had a catering range in Belgium, and this was it. And there was no real sustainable offer at the moment. So I said, okay, let's build this sustainable offer. Let's do this new system of working and everything. and put it out there, and we did it in a very commercial way, and it paid off.
When I lived in London, there were many charity shops there, many, and most of them throw away things because Britain is a rich country, it's lots of consumption, and the people don't want these things anymore, so they take them to the charity shop, and then the charity shop is small for all the donations they have, and they end throwing up many things in the garbage. So while I was there, I collected lots and lots of things. These are sanitary pads to use instead of disposable cotton pads that can be washed and used all over again for quite a few years. And this is one of my products that gets more success. You use it, wash it, and use it again.
I got involved in the Urban Ecology Center because I was looking for a better way to work, really. I think for me, the way I was working was not satisfying anymore. Since 6 or 7 years, we as a collective and I as an individual have been engaged in research projects, and we're thinking about how to make the world a better place. There's a lot of words and a lot of conferences and a lot of events, and at some point we just figured that, you know, this is not the way how we actually have an impact on things.
And so we start with the project. We wanted to create something new in Brussels. We want to not just to talk, but to act.
Instead of supporting a society that is, for my idea, falling apart, I rather construct some alternatives, alternative space and alternative ways of living. We made the plan to occupy a building in a poor neighborhood in Porto, and we found a school building that was already abandoned for like 5 years. A lot of the activities are for the children that come from the schools and that they need maybe some help with their homeworks, or they want to have guitar lessons. There is also like possibility to play football and basketball. There is a big yard to play. There is a kitchen. It is quite clear that there is a big need for people to have spaces to come together and get to know each other and show some kind of solidarity among each other, because it's a really poor area and people are really trying to survive all in an isolated way. Together you can reach much more than alone.